All right, what's up, everybody? All my stack farmers out there. I hope my audio's on this time. Good lord. Did I just record a half hour piece without any goddamn audio playing? Recording? Story of my life. All right? Check your initial assumptions. Audio's on. Everything's plugged in. Good lord. Welcome to the Stack Farming Show. This is a live recorded show about how to grow as much nutritionally dense food at your home as is humanly possible. No, nay, more than humanly possible. We are going to be pushing the boundaries of agriculture together, and it's going to be legit. I'm Arash Amini. I am the founder of the company, if you will, that's not even incorporated yet. The principle of this project called Stack Farm. Stackfarm.com if you want to build your own system, /library, forever free content. You will get all the knowledge in my head for free for personal use. When it comes to work, the way we make our money is by a $9 a month membership fee that gets you access to the forums, which is the only place I have the time to look at questions and answer them. To just a simple fact of reality, there's too many fucking places it's going to be on. So if you want to get your questions answered by me, go to stackfarm.com / join the library and you'll get an invite. And then also our Amazon affiliate e-store. So all the parts and pieces I'm using to build and test on my stack farm are available there, and you'll see soon a kit where you can buy all the parts at once and they'll come to your door. None of the parts are mine, but I've curated and selected all the parts so the engineering works, so everything you need comes together. And if you've ever built your own indoor farm before, you know that if one piece of the equation is fucked, you're fucked. It's never going to work. So your plumbing, your lights, your mechanical, all that stuff has to work. And so this bad boy is all about simplicity and efficiency. It's the most elegant system I've ever built. It's about $500 with shipping, and will grow any greens you want using organic hydroponics. And you're going to learn some really interesting stuff. So we're going to simplify the setup, simplify the operation, and simplify the maintenance of this thing. So assembling it takes a day or less, uses a corded power drill and one bit, and a multi-tool and tape measure and a thing. So the most complicated thing is you gotta drill 4 holes in the plastic trays, and then the rest is done by your hands effectively. So this is simple, 10 times simpler. And it's gonna produce a shit ton of food, and I hope it's going to be highly nutritious, and overall this is going to be a 10 times improvement on growing food ever. So I'm all about nutritional density and all that stuff. So the truth about FarmBox systems. What was it? In 2015, middle of 2015, I took my learnings from Farm Tower Company, was sick of not making any money, and said, okay, I need a year's salary, for fuck's sake. How do I get that? Well, if I raise enough money, if I raise 150 grand, I can take whatever 50 of that and live off that for a year while I figure this shit out, while I commercialize an indoor farm. During Farm Tower Company, my second venture, I shifted from aquaponics to organic hydroponics. I isolated the mechanism from the aquaponic farming method that creates the taste and flavors and growth and health of the plants. And then I said, oh my god, this is amazing. It was my first real patent, and it took how do I say this? To make it work at a laptop bench scale, like miniature version, it took a lot of physics, understanding, a lot of tinkering, a lot of hydroponic knowledge. All my knowledge at that point got it to work. Got me to extract and replicate on a small scale the mechanism behind aquaponic quality of aquaponic growing, speed and size and taste and health. And I'm going to show you how to do that stuff in your home, easy peasy, easy peasy. But I have to file a patent because everybody fucking copies me in the commercial farming space and nobody gives me credit. So they can all go fuck off and die or get sued or just license my shit and let me be your R&D studio. That's okay too. All right, give me a ring. You know who you are. You all know who you are. That being said, I want indoor farming to spread. So if you want to start your own farm, also contact me because we can license you all my knowledge, brand. I can give you everything I did at FarmBox, which got me into whole foods, growing, not certified, but growing 95% organically. All but one piece of one input was organics, or what was it, OMRI certified. And I got a packaged salad mix into Whole Foods. And I also got licensed by the city of Chicago for wholesale food distribution. So, and then using the parts and pieces and everything. So that's the stuff you need to actually make money at a commercial scale. The paperwork is really important. Standard operating procedures and all sorts of food safety, documentation, and then of course, the nuts and bolts, SKUs and packaging and labels and all that stuff. So that's also available. I will tell you what we need to figure out and solve for before this happens. And I would only take a percentage of revenue. So I'm not looking for fees right now, because I'm not willing to take any money. There's a one, I don't know, 10% needs to get figured out still. And I'll get to that 10% at the end of the story. And you'll see why it's so important. So I started FarmBox Systems to commercialize my organic hydroponic production process. First of its kind, I discovered and invented it. And I haven't patented it because I've never had the money to do so. I've just kept my mouth fucking shut because I don't trust anybody, and I have plenty of reason not to. That being said, I will be filing, now that I have money, a provisional patent so I can talk about it and give myself a year to pay the, thousands of dollars to get it patented. So I thought to myself, I need money, I need income, I have this fertilizer, it's going to take a lot of meetings and a lot of proof to sell this thing, to license it to the big boys, ADM and so on. And so I said, okay, what's the best way to go about getting all of that done? I said, well, if I build a farm that can grow enough food to pay for its rent and my salary and like make 150 grand a year, then I can perpetually sell my, license my learnings, and then we can get into all the other cool stuff. Because I have designs for everything, but it's all fucking expensive to make. Just to make one tray, custom made, costs you tens of thousands of dollars. One design. You probably need 3 designs of the whole system to get the thing right, if history is any proof, to really dial it in so the thing works well, right? That's a lot of capital. No one trusted me with that capital. No one believed in me. And was it because I'm brown? I don't know. But did I see a lot of dumb people get a lot of money? Yes. How much money did they get? Over 10 times, almost 100 times how much money I got? Of course. Were they all white? Yes. What do I know? I don't know. I don't fucking know. What do I know, right? No, and I'm not some SJW, but god damn. So frustrating. So, in reality, they all understood finance, and I did not. Let's be real, okay? So I start pitching the guys that backed me at Farm Tower Company, saying, "Hey, we gotta scale this thing up." I talked to a bunch of people. One of my investors said, "Okay, I'm in for 50K, 10%, great. I'm losing my shirt already, but I need money because I have no shirt. So what's the point? Let's get going, right? Who cares?" The other backer at Farm Tower Company, they pitched in like 5 grand each just to test the idea out, and they said, "Okay, I'm in for 15, 25K, great." that was actually well after I got the 50K. So I got the 50K and I built a system in my house to test the lights out from this asshole I listened to, and the lights had to be at the canopy level. They were not made for growing. They were low wattage, but they had this beautiful. The lens was the LEDs were sat on both sides of a. If this is the where the light comes out, this is the top of the heat sink, right? So this is the heat sink, and then there was this V shape, and there's LEDs on both sides. So you get this much wider angle to your lights. And I thought, God, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Because normally my LEDs are on a flat plane right here and they shine straight down, and you get this cone, and your intensity is very narrow. Your ideal placement of the plants have to be like right under these lights. So you end up putting a row of lights above every row of plants, and it's stupid and it's super expensive, and it costs $1 million to get enough LEDs, and then you have to put them really high up because of design flaws. They're all really made for cannabis, which is like way too intense light for lettuce, and so you have less lights than a cannabis setup, but they still have to be so high up so that your cone is wide enough so that you don't, you know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you literally would need, you'd have like rows of plants, and then you would literally need one light above each row, and it gets too expensive, so people go higher, so that covers 2 or 3 rows, and it's still way too expensive. So all that being said, I found these cheap ass lights from China. I bought a small shipment. I built a system just to test them, and I found with the flux meter that if they are right up at the protector for the clear protector that covered the V shape of the LED bands or diodes, it gave me enough lumens to grow lettuce. This Solanova lettuce that I built a whole fucking business model out of. So I was growing Solanova because at the store, this was before Amazon bought Whole Foods. At the store, you can get a 5-ounce package at the retail of all sorts of salad greens for $3.99. That came out to, I believe, $2.50 or so per pound. So $12.50 per pound at retail, right? So those numbers, I'm like, fuck yeah, we can make money off that. I just gotta, how do I grow as much salad as possible? Well, you can typically, what they do, there's 2 ways that the industry does it historically. One is they grow head lettuce and then put it through a machine and it chops it up and it bags it and it's off to the races. Or you grow seedlings and you harvest them early and you throw them in a bag and off to the races. First off, lettuce production is a bitch. You have to grow it in like California, like 70% comes from one, zip code in California or one district, whatever, where the drought was way back when. And then you got like Mexico, Arizona, Texas, that kind of stuff. It makes up the rest of it. But to get it to the rest of the country, it has to get harvested, and you either package it on site, ship it refrigerated, next day it's on the shelf, or harvest it, refrigerate it, package it from a plant much closer to where you're selling it to, and then you ship it, and then you put it on the store shelves. Very complex supply chain. Very complex supply chain. All of that expense and complexity gets to $3.99 per 5-ounce. That's how cheap lettuce is, and that pretty much is. That's why that price is why migrant labor is used in harvesting. So if you don't want migrant labor, pay $1 more per your fucking lettuce. But consumers are really price sensitive around their produce. Go figure. And this is according to data from UC Berkeley. Value-added produce analysis, market analysis. Great stuff. So I used the 2008 study, and then the 2012 study came out. I used the 2012 study to learn about packaged salad, and then the 2017 or 2015 or something came out, and it showed the same thing. I'm like, boom, we got to go for this. Okay, so do I want to? Growing seedlings is way different than growing head lettuce. Growing head lettuce, it sits for 30 days, and then you grow it. Seedlings, you're cutting the plant at like 14 days. So it's just getting its first 4 leaves, and then you chop that shit down. This is much softer, better texture. This is more yield because it grows exponentially at the end. As it reaches maturity, just like we, right, our teenagers, we have this growth spurts, so do plants as they reach maturity in size, and then they kind of stay there, and They'll grow bigger if you give them more, but the flavor will go down too. So you want to get it right, right before it hits maturity. It will be what 25 years old in our human era, something like that. And so no, that's not true. 18 years old when you stop growing, right? Um, so I'm like, ugh, there's no good way. I ran all these calculations. I made so to know how much lettuce you can get at what cost, capital and operating costs, capital expenditure and operational expenses. Uh, you need to design the goddamn system. So you need to know how many pounds can I get out of a space and what kind of equipment am I using in that system so that I know how much money it costs to set up a farm that produces this much per year. And based on what lighting I'm using, that's a huge factor in my operational expenses. And not to mention the different ways you can set up your system, the more efficient or less efficient you can be with your like your salary, which is really your number one, your staff, which is your number one expense. Then electricity, then rent, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere maybe the rent and electricity can flip flop. I can't remember. My point being, those are your top three expenses, and that all comes from the way your system's designed. So I was like, okay, I've been thinking about this nonstop. This is like 4 years now, nonstop. I studied wastewater treatment, industrial or commercial recycling, aquaculture engineering, organic hydroponic greenhouse engineering and design. I studied all this shit and I put it all together and I built several systems across the city of Chicago from, 1,000 square feet, 50 square feet to 6,200 square feet to 400 square feet. So I got to test a lot of my ideas in real life, and a lot of them worked. Some of them were better than others. Some of them didn't, right? So I got more learnings than anybody else at that time, and I went off the races. I was racing constantly. So the big innovation I had, one of the big innovations was, the material handling industry. I was thinking, what am I actually building? Well, this farm is part warehouse, it's part food production, food processing facility, part farm agricultural facilities. So I need to think of these three things. And that's how it's going to get zoned anyway. So that's what I'm doing. I am effectively, I was early on the pallet idea, on the pallet idea, 2010. And this is why I'm so hard to work with in indoor farming. I need everyone to praise me constantly about how innovative I am. But nobody will until you make the money. So here we are. Or you have the following. I was like, the material handling industry already knows how to move shit perfectly. Peak material handling is now. Use pallets. Use pallet carts, forklifts. Done. Because right now, to this day, companies like Aero Farms, which raised $60 million, is still sending their poor farmers 20 feet in the air on skyjacks. It's like that truck it's like a platform that you can drive from the platform, and then it's like a scissor lift, and then it lifts you up to 20 feet or higher, right? And so you're like breaking OSHA requirements above 15 feet, not breaking, but you're like, you got to be safer above 15 feet. And then how much can you handle physically moving wet roots? So you're dripping now under you, and your immediate work area is getting wet, and you're dripping on the ground 20 feet below. Not to mention, you need to like harness into this thing so you don't fall and die. And then how much can you fucking lift at a certain time, at any time? So these dummies took a system that was meant for like a basement, which is the same system that Farmed Here stole and reverse engineered. And it's based on felt, what is it called? Compressed, non-woven fabric, felt. The seeds grow on, and it does well, but they didn't like think about how to lift wet felt 20 feet in the air over and over and over again. So this process alone in their workflow is destroying their business because it's just too inefficient for all the expensive upfront costs and operational costs you have to put up with when you're doing indoor farming. And these poor guys are going to go out of business if they don't. They're probably going to go out of business. And maybe I could have tried harder to reach them, but once they get so big, they get so many inbound requests, they don't fucking listen to anybody. They can't. It's hard. I get it. Poor guys. I failed at I guess all in probably 500K over 6 years worth of um, what would you call them? Worth of consulting work, design work, investment. You know, that's how much went into my R&D effectively. And so moving salad on pallets, and ideally it'd be head lettuce, because you don't want to be moving lettuce 20 feet into the air every 2 weeks. That's a pain in the fucking ass. You just, without a robot, it's like hard, right? But if you got a guy in a forklift truck and he can move a large amount of lettuce 20 feet from the air, which they do all the time in warehouses, and bring it down to a worker to harvest and plant and replant and put it back up, that's key, right? So my whole design was based on 4x4 trays, low tide trays, 2-inch low tide trays that would eventually be put on pallets, so you can lift them up and move them out. So all the designs had to handle the fact that these 4x4 trays would get taken out of the system and then be brought to a harvesting station, and then head lettuce would be collected. Now Solanova comes in, because Solanova is this hybridized, beautiful, non-GMO seed that grows in a head lettuce shape, but when you core it down the center with like a cylindrical knife, you just, all the leaves fall off, and they have the taste, flavor, texture, and appearance of baby leaf. But you grow them and you get the yield of head lettuce. So you get this high margin product at the lower cost production process and the higher yields, right? So head lettuce can get you 40 cents on organic head lettuce a pound versus selling it to a distributor that would then sell it to retailers. And that's another piece of the puzzle. You got to go direct to the retailer or direct to the consumer. No one's gone direct to the consumer really, but one guy supposedly, but I never figured out the details. So this seemed like a miracle. Okay, we're going to grow Salanova. We're going to grow it with organic hydroponics. Fuck the fish. The fish are so complicated and they're a dead end. You can never balance the production of fish and plants in a profitable manner. They're out of balance. The money's in the produce, the magic sauce is from the fish. Well, I extracted the magic sauce and I could put it directly into the plants and I don't have to fucking worry about the fish, which are like insanely complicated, expensive, and a huge time drain and unneeded at the end. So I build this farm, 1,800 square feet, 1,500 square feet, something like that, in the plant in Sky Green's old space at a building called The Plant in the back of the Yards neighborhood on the 3rd floor. And I'm using lightweight metal shelving now, so I reduced the cost of these towers tremendously. I'm using this low-cost LED, but it has to be very close to the plant height canopy. And so I have a ton of layers in my systems. I think I had 8 layers on a 10-foot system. I had 8 layers of growing, which is the most dense I've ever seen, and I think you'll ever see to date. But I hung all the LEDs and I wired them in such a way that they all were in line in one per row. So it was like 5 towers connected into one hydroponic, into one reservoir, and the lights went across every tower for 8 towers, for 8 levels. And that was a key mistake. I should have wired every tower separately, and I should have had a different hydroponic reservoir for each tower. It would have made life at that stage simpler. And I'm fucking living off of the scraps of this money. I'm not drawing $4,000 a month. 1 month I drew $4,000 a month, and then my partner said, "Whoa, this is too much. Are you living? You have a livable wage? No. We must take all your money." And so I built this thing, 10 feet high, 4 feet wide, 15 or 20 feet long, and it was supposed to produce $150,000 worth of, hopefully my audio works, for fuck's sake, $150,000 in salad. If I got to less than a half of the projected average yield of Salanova. So in the field, it gets like 0.75 point. On average, all the varietals from a test they did came out to like 0.75 pounds in 54 days, something like that. And I was like, okay, my model needs to work at 0.33 pounds. If we get 0.33 pounds, which I thought was being conservative, saying we're getting less than half of what the average is outside, given new externalities and systems and all, we'll be in the money. And then my partners saw how much money we could make because I had to learn how to model this stuff out on spreadsheets. Nobody would fucking do it for me, and I didn't know how to ask for help. Let's be real. This whole time I didn't know how to ask for help because I was freaking out constantly, lack of income, and being ripped off left and right, like multiple times being ripped off. So, God, this coffee's strong. So I build the system. I bring on a partner now. So I got 2 partners. I bring on a 4th partner to run the farm. And he's the only one and then my partners, at the same time, I can't raise the extra 150 grand. Nobody will invest another 75 grand. I needed 150 grand to give this thing a year to figure out all the little things that always happen to get to. That was the plan. So we can license and we can start growing. So I get 75 of that. And I give 10% of my business to this guy to come in, Nick Greens, to be my farm manager and business, join the business. And we pay him $2 grand a month. I'm not getting any money at this point. We get the system built up. I'm literally working full time, building the system, building the farm, managing the shipments, growing the first head of lettuces. They're doing great, but the yield is low. It's like 0.22 pounds, and I need 0.33 pounds. And the question is, why is that the case? Well, there's multiple reasons. One of the reasons was my farm hand, to make the farm look better, and it wasn't a bad idea, but he lifted all the lights up. So they were hanging low, and I wasn't getting the yield because of I didn't have enough good stuff enough fertilizer in the water. So he raised that up, but he raised the lights up. And they were loose and they were wobbly. So it made sense. He raised them up. They're locked in now, and they're much better positioned. But they got raised 2 inches. And those 2 inches destroyed everything. When you move a light source away from a piece, from a detector, the light intensity deteriorates in a square law fashion. So for every 1 unit, I get 1 squared. For every unit I move the light away, the intensity decreases by the square of that distance. So 2 inches from moving something from 4 inches away to 2 inches, cutting the distance by half, would would exponentially increase my light intensity. Okay? I forgot about this, and I'm thinking, why are my yields so low? My partners are freaking out. They're putting in $5 grand a month. I can't raise another 75 grand. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Something is not clicking. I'm not communicating well. It's just $75,000. Nobody would put it in. In the startup world, that's a joke. I couldn't find. I talked to the head of a produce company, big produce company, organic produce, wants to buy our greens, won't invest. I'm like, listen, motherfuckers, this is getting out of control. So I'm like, I can't spend this much time not raising money and away from the company. I'm not working at this time because these 2 things just take up 60 hours a week, easily. So how are you supposed to start a business like this, startup, without income, without backers, is beyond me. It's fucking impossible. And nobody would listen to my pitches enough. I couldn't get enough pitches scheduled to get enough no's, to get enough yeses. And It was the most infuriating thing in the world because you have to go in. Hi, we're just the people that are like open for business need you to fucking suck their dicks to get money, stroke their egos so hard they just won't see the and put in the money. Drove me crazy. Drove me crazy. And oh god, to no end. So we got the farm set up, and we're gonna start growing. Let's grow what we can. We'll get the yields up. Me and the farm manager were like, we'll get the yields up. So we changed fertilizer. We are doing good. I'm working. He was supposed to get us into Whole Foods. He like becomes illiterate and can't fucking be bothered with any computer work, even though he's getting paid $2,000 a month now. And so I do all the goddamn paperwork that I've never done before to get us into Whole Foods. Not only did I build the label and the brand and the packaging and the bags and the boxes and the stickers, and now I got to do SKUs and standard operating procedures and food safety recall procedures. I'm like, okay, fine, fuck it. Well, at this time I had to go get a job because this was getting out of hand. I had a kid. I had a newborn child. So I get a job, and I'm doing this on the side with them, and this guy's working full time. He's fucking shit up that I don't realize. And I did not do a good enough job managing this, clearly. It's my fault at the end of the day for making these poor decisions, but this is what happened. It's the first time I've talked about this in person or live for real. So I get us into Whole Foods. I go to a Whole Foods like open house where they're effectively letting local businesses pitch them their products. I bring my salad. They love it. The VP of the region says we're in. I get like the go ahead from the higher ups, and I'm like, okay, big hurdle, done. And he's like, come back when let's get you into the system. Okay, stack of paperwork. I do it, done. I already built the goddamn farm. I designed this, never before designed, all that stuff. That's where I'm most comfortable is designing, mechanical engineering, process flow, all that stuff for indoor farming. I do this on a bootstrap budget, okay? Like I got something accomplished here. But our yields will not go up. And we're starting to get this weird issue with all of our plants. And farm manager, my partner turned to me, he's like, what the fuck, man? You don't know what's going on? I'm like, dude, I'm not a salad expert. Okay? I'm not a lettuce expert. Fuck that. I'm not a lettuce expert. I'm an expert in designing farms. I'm not even an expert. No one's done this before. Fuck off. We're on a shoestring budget. Farmhand suggests it's a virus, and reasonably so. I look at pictures of the virus he suggests it is, and it looks like it could be. Turns out it wasn't. But we cleaned the whole system, and we changed the plumbing, so now it's clean pipes from the old fertilizer that was fish emulsion based, and I thought that was very reasonable. Okay. And still not getting the yields. Albeit, this design was what was producing the plugs, the seedlings for the big system. And that was like humming. That was doing great. The plugs, the seedlings were fucking fantastic. Put them in, they weren't growing fast enough. Why aren't they growing fast enough? Well, one of my neighbors comes in one day, and he's got a mushroom farm in the basement. He's like, my mushrooms are not doing well. I'm like, that's weird. And he brings a CO2 meter to my space. And he's like, I've been taking CO2 measurements across the building. It's like 1,000 ppm, parts per million, in our farm. I'm like, what the hell's going on? He's like, it's that wood-burning stove pizza oven on the second floor for that cafe, the bakery. They're releasing CO2. This building is not well ventilated. I'm like, whoa. So, we get extra CO2. Should be a miracle. We have 1,000 parts per million, free in our space. We don't have to pay for it. That's a perfect ppm for a greenhouse. Ideal, but you have to add it in typically. What do plants need? What do plants need to grow more and by utilizing their extra CO2 in the environment? Anybody? Mueller? Robert Mueller? More sunlight. More photons per leaf. Higher intensity lighting. That's the limiting factor given a CO2-rich environment. If they have more lighting, more photons hitting their leaves, they can use higher amounts of CO2, the carbon and the oxygen, to grow their plants, to grow their leaves. More leaves, more roots, more nutrients. The plant grows and grows. But it's limited by the amount of sunlight. It's a linear arrangement, linear relationship between the intensity of the light and the growth rate of the plant, given excess CO2 in the atmosphere, up to some, I think, 3,000 ppm. I don't know, up to some amount. Well, our lights were too far away. They were too weak to provide adequate lighting 4 inches away. They were designed to be 2 inches away from the canopy. Like, that's how, because it saved us so much money. 10 times that we spent a 10% on LEDs on lighting that we needed to. Our power draw was lower, and our heat output was way lower. All these things affect the farm. And we didn't have air. We had 1,500, 1,400 square feet. We had one air conditioner in the wall, right? And we had running water, thank God, from the last tenant. We weren't in a high-end space. This motherfucker would not let me move the plants up. I said, I put a presentation together. I showed everybody. At this point, my dumb fucking partners, I hate these guys. They look at me and they say, hey, you haven't hit your yields in time. You don't know what you're talking about. I overheard one of them say, this guy, he just grows in his living room. He doesn't know shit. I talked up my farm manager because he's an illiterate high school dropout, and he knows plants intuitively, though. He's like good with plants and hydroponics, and he has experience. I'm like, let me hook this guy up with a job. I'll sell him to my partners. We're supposed to be friends. Okay. I've talked this guy up so much. These dummies don't see he's irresponsible. My mistake. I pick partners who don't realize how complicated this all is. My mistake. So I don't hit my numbers immediately because of unforeseen circumstances. I didn't know these things would interact. It always happens. I didn't communicate that enough, obviously. Would I have gotten the money if I did? Probably not, because these dummies were so afraid of everything. So I'm in this situation. I'm like, gentlemen, we have to close the gap. 2 inches. That's it. Guess what? I have 1 inch by 4 feet by 4 feet rubber foam boards. We can just wedge underneath each tray. 2 of them will get us where we go. We don't need to drop the lights. Okay, test it. Fuck you. Okay, fine. I go in the farm, which I'm not running now because I'm working on as a marketing consultant. I take the foam boards, I put one under one, I put 2 on the other. This freaked out my partner. What are you doing? This is my jurisdiction. Should have fired him on the spot for being an idiot. And worked nights there for the $2,000 a month. Should have demanded that be done. Commanded that be done. Should have done that. I was 6 years in and broke. I was with a kid. I was just utterly exhausted. At this time, too, every $5,000 check. Remember, my commitment or investment into this LLC was my IP for 90% of the business. 50 grand was invested for 10%. That means 150 grand would get 30% of the company, which is insane. But I had no options. This is the one asshole who would talk to me about investing. And he took a year. God bless him. Then 25 was put in. And then we got another like 25 from the first guy to keep the things rolling. Because I couldn't raise another 75. Well, he's putting 5 grand in at a time. Every time he's putting 5 grand in, he's taking equity. I started 90%. I'm at 36%. I realized my partners are all idiots. I'm desperate for cash flow. I'm not thinking straight. I'm pissed. I don't see a route. I give up. In the end, there was no oxygen pump in the reservoir. I designed a passive oxygenation system. It wasn't working adequately. So there wasn't enough oxygen at the plant roots. The lights weren't low enough or intense enough, really. And I thought, I'm going to make these guys billionaires? Fuck that. Fuck everybody. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I just don't have any more fight in me. I have to fight this hard to get to 1, from 0 to 1, and then I gotta build a business on top of that? Oh, God, I can't do it. The dread it filled me with, the stress. Imagine raising 50 grand from a rich millionaire when you have no money in your name. Like, no income. It's way too stressful. I was making so many mistakes financially, by the way. This wasn't the smart way to go at all. And in the end, we could have just added Venturis to every. It was a cascade system, so the water went from the reservoir up to the top and then cascaded down each tower independently and then came back to the reservoir. We could have added 4 more reservoirs, so there's more water in the system. We could have put air pumps in those, air stones, and then we could have put Venturis, or we could have put Venturis in each of the what's it called, downspouts. So it would suck in oxygen from the air from the room as it went in. A Venturi is like, you have let's say a 2-inch pipe, and then you want to inject oxygen into there. It's more like for when there's pumps. You have a water pump and it has a 2-inch inlet, let's say. You put this Venturi in. Oh, I can show you. I have one here. So a Venturi is uses the I think it's the Venturi principle. I don't know. It's a physics principle that says when you have a fluid dynamics principle, when you have a pipe of X diameter moving liquid, if you put a small pipe adjacent to it, outlet adjacent to it, it can suck in air by virtue of the water flowing here. And if the diameter is small enough here compared to here, water won't shoot out, but air will come in. And anyway, it would have been like $1,000 to fix all that. They didn't want to listen to me though. The last straw really came when I was talking about how to diversify and maybe get out of salad. If we can't figure this out, maybe this Salanova is not meant to grow hydroponically like this. I don't know. No one's ever done it. Under artificial lights, I don't see any Salanova yields, okay? Those were sunlight yields. I took the average and I cut them in half. For fuck's sake. Not even half. 0.75 to 0.33. We're getting 0.22. So I said, what if we grow, the people at Whole Foods said, if you can give us spinach, we will buy it by the pallet. I will quit my job to help you grow spinach. It's in such demand. Investor looks at my farm manager and says, can we grow spinach hydroponically? He's like, no way, it's impossible. Oh, great. He took this state on it. Like, he took such a stance on it because he's sick of being pushed around himself. And he took this hardline stance on it. Over Thanksgiving, I think, I go to my parents-in-laws and I said, I looked it up. You can grow spinach hydroponically. There's one major thing that makes it hard. The roots naturally, in a hydroponic solution, develop a fungus that has to be cleaned constantly. So whatever vessel you grow it in has to be sanitized. I'm like, okay, we can do that. Grow it, wash everything, grow the whole system, add a cleaning solution, harvest everything, run a cycle of cleaning solution through the reservoir and all the pipes, drain it, add new fertigation, replant. That's simple enough, and that can be automated. That can be scaled. That's just pumps and tanks and actuators and a control panel. That's nothing crazy. Happens all the time. What do you think happens when you make fucking hamburger meat? That shit is washed automatically in between X number of cycles, most likely in between each batch. So I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't think we can pop the seeds. He said, you can't germinate spinach seeds. He also said you can't grow baby arugula. And I'm like, dude, I've grown baby arugula like a boss in this system. It's like nothing. He's like, no, 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 man, no. I'm like, okay. He had a like, thick street Spanish accent. Mexican accent. Mexican Spanish. And so I go home, I run a test, I find the materials from a local hardware store, I find local seeds in middle of Ohio, and I jury rig a basement system to germinate spinach seedlings. And guess what? It worked. My process worked. You needed heat and you needed high humidity for the seeds to pop. I created a PowerPoint showing them how the process I used to generate both and how we can scale that up. It's possible. No, man, that's bullshit. Oh, okay. And then when my partners saw my presentation, my second scientific presentation, and listened to this guy, I was like, what is going on here? This is fucked. I'm at 36%. We need more money. This guy puts in 5 more checks. He's going to take 30% of my company. I'm going to be worth nothing. I did everything up until this point, 90% of the work up until this point, and I can't raise my plants because this guy's going crazy, and I can't introduce a new salad varietal because he doesn't think it's possible. And at that point, I'm like, that's it. I give up. I can't do this anymore. This has been too hard a road. I've been too alone for too long, too broke for too long. I can't do this anymore. And fuck everybody. I can't. What am I doing here? I gotta think about myself. So I left. They gave me my IP for leaving. I gave them my 36%. I said, fuck off. I never want to see you guys again. Go burn in hell. And the day I signed it, another asshole calls me and says, hey, I want you to be on my team for indoor farming. I'm like, okay, great. What's this guy's name? Jake? Every time I try to help him, he's like, oh, thanks for the offer. This asshole, and one day he's going to license my shit because he knows he needs it. He buys my old farm. He shows me a picture of what he's doing, and it's my trays in my farm. And I'm like, dude, did you buy my old farm? He's like, yep. I'm like, and you didn't fucking tell me and you wanted to hire me? Are you kidding me? What a scumbag. I forgot about that. So he's still in there. What is it? Backyard Fresh Farms. He says he's got proprietary technology. Dude, I could replicate anybody's technology. No. Let me put it that way. I can surpass anyone's proprietary technology with off-the-shelf equipment at a fraction of the cost and get you into a local grocery store. He wants to own the distribution, the means of production. He's a very greedy person, I think. And it's not wrong to be greedy, but in indoor farming it might be. Nobody who's greedy has worked out. I would much rather decentralize. He wants to centralize the means of production. I want to decentralize it. So if you want to grow stuff, I think you can do it. It costs a lot of money, but we can get more food out there to more communities faster. My original business plan, those guys wanted to, they saw the green dollar signs and they saw how much lettuce we could produce if we hit that 0.33, and we got sucked into scaling up it's like, we'll get more money if we can show we can grow this stuff. It was the fertilizer was completely forgotten. And even though that was the whole point. And he was giving me money. The whole purpose of the business was to build a showroom that sustained itself, proving the concept of the fertilizer. I didn't even get to use because everything else was going crazy. That was going to come at the end to show a baseline and then my fertilizer. Maybe I should have fucking used my fertilizer to boost the yields because that's what it would have done. God damn it. But they would have stolen it so fast and I wouldn't have been left with anything. I was greedy in my own way. I would rather have been broke than to make people, I thought, unethical people wealthy. I think that's what it came down to. good or bad. That's how I roll. And that's how I rolled. Oh man, everything was in place. Needless to say, regardless, um, everybody thinks they can do it without me. Nobody can. I got all the good IP still up in here. We're gonna share it for home use, personal use, for free. If anybody wants to use it for commercial purposes, I think we can do a revenue share, and I could be your outsourced R&D. You cannot get to commercial viability. I don't even know if it's possible anymore. Okay, I'm on the side of like 90%. It might not be possible. 10% though can change everything, but it needs to be tested. So there's no way around that. And there's no reason you shouldn't test at this scale before you go big. Spend it. What did Plenty raise? $200 million from SoftBank? Fuck them, man. I called up Nate Story. I'm like, Nate, I got a design for you. I want work. This shit isn't working out. This was after FarmBox Fresh. I'm like, let me design this equipment for you. It'll blow up your yields. I got a design for commercial growing that got a 1 watt per plant by unique design. That's very low. Normally, your wattage of lights is much higher than 1 watt per plant. So up there, I think you can grow, 6 full heads of lettuce per 10 by 20. So you got 12 heads of lettuce, and you got 80 watts above it. That's pretty inefficient. I mean, it's just using the best equipment available right now, though. Luckily, we're not trying to grow lettuce for profit here. It's not, you need to custom design the equipment if you wanted to really take this to a new level, and everyone's doing it wrong. Anyway, so I took their vertical idea, and I'm like, let's make it better. Okay, here's how we can make it better. I shared designs. We had some conversations, and then he fucking ghosted me. And I just expected better of him. I was like, you can't just tell me no. You gotta ghost me. And everyone's like ignoring me when I'm dead broke. I'm like, dude, the money from this would be, I got this offer from Farm Here way back in the day. I was dead broke. I would have given you everything. Systems, software, fertigation, branding, cultivars. I have the whole fucking thing in my head. 10 years. Anyways, I've been out of this since 2017, 2016? 2 years now? No one's moved the industry an inch forward. Plenty has $200 million. They're going to China because the price, they're so inefficient still for the U.S. market, they can't make money. Who was the other one? Urban Harvest out of container farms in South San Francisco. Tried to work with them. I was going to license their technology at FarmBox. I left FarmBox. I'm like, let me come and help sell your systems as a marketing consultant. Nothing. They all balked at the end of the day. Farmed Here was like, hated me at that point because I don't know. Because why? I said I wanted to run for alderman stupidly, naively. Way back when. Get the fuck out of here. Grows. I approached them. You're selling aquaponic systems. I know how to sell aquaponic systems. I have a proven method to sell personal aquaponic systems online. I can get you as many leads as you want. Customers. This is like, I started becoming very focused on customer acquisition. I discovered a new process for customer acquisition. So I'm like the most underrated person in this industry, and it used to drive me nuts. Now they've been all sleeping on me, and now the giants awoken, baby, and they're gonna fucking kiss my ass. And we're gonna have so much fun though. I don't really care. At the end of this, I'm glad none of those idiots hired me because they'd have I would have given them everything. And I would have been left with nothing. And now I have everything, and they're all going out of business. Grove Grows is out of business. They won't. No one says it publicly anywhere, but none of their websites work, and none of their social media posts or phone numbers don't work. Social media posts are from 2018. Plenty is in China because why not? And they're fucked because what Chinese company is going to let an American firm, what Chinese bureaucrat is going to let an American firm control their food supply? The communist Chinese? Are you fucking kidding me? No fucking way. They're going to copy everything and you're going to be kicked on your ass. It's all Chinese equipment anyway. Why would they bring in just for consulting, maybe? Anyway, they won't hire me. I even applied as like a normal marketing or something. They won't hire me. It's not even like I tried pitching them partnerships. No. I tried pitching them licensing. No. I tried pitching them contracting. No. I tried pitching them marketing consulting. No. I tried applying like a normal person. No. Like the amount of I know how to take is a perfect mix. No, they don't want it. And Bowery, I applied for director of marketing. I'm not saying I would have done that in my sleep, but I would have fucking done that in my sleep. No. How much did they raise? $45 million. Plenty was $200 million from SoftBank. Farm Beer was $27 million from a bunch of angels. Grove raised $4.5 million total. The one in, what was it? Urban Organics or something in California raised a couple million. All of them are failing. Y'all fucked up, man. You should have worked with me. I don't know what else to say. I tried to help everybody. I'm like, all this money, it can be put to good use. Nobody would fucking listen to me. And they all are going to lose all their money. They're all going to lose all their money. And I'm going to help you compete with them. I'm jazzed up. This is going to be fun. We're going to do home farming stuff. But for people that want to start putting money into it, I'm gonna let you license my brand, the indoor farming, the produce brand. We're gonna show you how to grow baby leaf lettuce profitably. We're gonna get into salad, spinach profitably. But you know what? No. Focus, Amini. That can only happen on a second system designed for that. This system is designed for home use specifically. So if you want commercial quality stuff, shoot me an email, contact@stack.farm, and we can work it out. But it's going to require some R&D capital. I'm not going to run that shit. I got a guy that'll run it for me that I love and trust, and who's an actual scientist, not a phony one. But over the course of this research, over the course of this home farming stuff, I already know, there will be commercial patents that are going to pop out, and we're going to patent those, and then we can license that stuff too. But it's not my priority right now, unless I can get a commercial space, hire the guy I want, get him all the equipment, have him for a year or something like that on salary. It doesn't make sense for me. I don't want to deal with it. Fuck all that noise. It'll come eventually anyway from all this stuff. So that's the story of FarmBox Fresh, man. I was inches away from victory, but I just didn't have it in me. I failed. I collapsed, man. That killed my ego. Oh, that was devastating. But I'm making money now. I'm taking care of my family. All these assholes are going out of business. Life is good, man. Life is good. Go check it out. stack.farm/library. You can get all my books. I got a DIY aquaponics book that I wrote instead of getting a $100,000 contract like an idiot. I got 2 more manuals in there. I got all sorts of videos for setting up your own systems. That's all my old shit. This is going to be the new content focused around this system and operating it. So that's this episode of the what is it called? Stack Farm Show. Get growing, everybody. What are you doing? Sitting around here. All right. Peace out.